Tonight on Cronkite News, it's opening day in Major League Baseball, and the Diamondbacks kick off their 2024 campaign at home against the Rockies.
I'm Jonah Krell here in Los Angeles, where the Arizona Wildcats will try to advance to the Elite Eight for the first time in nearly a decade when they take on Clemson in the Sweet 16.
And we take a visit to Arizona's new state park, the first new state park in nearly a decade.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News. I'm Lauren Avenatti.
And I'm Jack Pearson. Thank you for joining us.
It's a huge day today for Arizona sports fans, and we have you covered with Jonah Krell in Los Angeles covering the Arizona Wildcats in the Sweet 16.
And Ana de la Cruz is outside Chase Field for the Diamondbacks season opener, and that's where we begin. Ana, some say this is the holy grail of baseball fandom. I'm sure the excitement is building out there.
It's officially the best time of the year. Baseball fans will fill the stands and rally towels will be waved in the air again. Kids will be asking for hot dogs and Take Me Out to the Ball Game will be sung again. Diamondbacks manager Torey Lovullo was anxious but excited about the start of a new season.
I'm probably not going to sleep. I'll be a little restless. I might get her a little bit earlier than normal. But once I fall into that routine, it's going to be the exact same thing. And I want the players to do it too. This stadium is going to be filled with emotion. The stadium is going to be filled with energy that we deserve to feel. The fans deserve to give it off. And we're excited to see these fans, our fans.
Lovullo has named Zach Gallen the opening day starting pitcher. The rest of the Diamondback bullpen has been competing for a spot with how deep the rotation runs. Ryan Nelson opens up about how Lovullo pushes his bullpen no matter their role, and how much he's used spring training to get ready for the long season.
Just a lot of my off-speed stuff and secondaries and being able to use it to set up the fastball, and then just mentality-wise, just making sure that I'm focused on the right things, execution, and trying to make good pitches, good quality pitches, and just getting the body in a good spot to go the full year and to maintain it throughout.
One bit of bad news is that Diamondback closer Paul Sewald will be starting the season on the disabled list with an oblique injury. Still, Diamondback fans have a lot to look forward to. All of the emotion and celebrations to come in the following weeks. They will be seeing bobblehead giveaways, the NL ring ceremony, and plenty more to celebrate their success from the 2023 season. In Phoenix, Ana de la Cruz, Cronkite News.
Another exciting piece of news for the Diamondbacks is the signing of Jordan Montgomery, a key piece to the Rangers team that topped Arizona in the World Series.
Yeah, absolutely. And the veteran lefty helped the Rangers beat the D-backs in the World Series. Now Scott Sanduli tells us he's coming here to help bolster Arizona's rotation.
After months of rumors connecting him to the Yankees and the Red Sox, among others, 7-year big leaguer Jordan Montgomery has ended his free agency saga with a slither to the desert. The seasoned veteran signed with the Arizona Diamondbacks earlier this week on a 1-year deal with a vesting option for a second worth up to $25 million per season. Montgomery's move to the Valley comes just after the Southpaw helped end the D-backs' magical playoff run in the World Series last fall. As the ace of the Texas Rangers, Montgomery tossed a career-high 188 innings in 2023, including a stellar 1.29 ERA in 14 postseason frames, as Texas claimed their first world title at Arizona's expense. Montgomery now joins a stacked D-back rotation that already features Cy Young candidates in Zach Gallen and Merrill Kelly, alongside proven arms in Eduardo Rodriguez and Brandon Pfaadt. Slotting as the premier southpaw among this group, the change of speed Montgomery brings from the left side adds a new dynamic to a hard-throwing and star-studded staff. Now with one of the game's most consistent hurlers in tow, the D-backs starting pitching forecast to be one of the best in the bigs in 2024. Combine these stingy starters with a long lineup and a breakout bullpen, and this Arizona team looks primed for a return to October, looking to finish last year's Cinderella story. From the touchscreen, Scott Sanduli, Cronkite News.
Chase Field may be a great place to enjoy the opening weekend festivities, but if you're watching from home, here are just a few options to tune in to the D-backs. The TV providers are Cox, DirecTV, Xfinity, and Spectrum. Cox and Spectrum have 2 different channels for those who live in Phoenix and viewers from Tucson. Channel 34 from Cox and Channel 304 for those who live in the Valley. And lastly, the MLB TV streaming service will also show the game for a season-long subscription. And coming up later, Chase Field gets an upgrade. We check out the new offerings at the ballpark.
The madness continues today with the Arizona Wildcats taking on Clemson in the Sweet 16. Arizona is trying to take another step towards a hometown Final Four in Phoenix. For more on that opportunity, we bring in Jonah Krell, who's outside Crypto.com Arena in Los Angeles. Jonah, how are the Wildcats feeling ahead of the game with yet another good shot at a Final Four?
Yeah, Lauren, since the Lute Olson days, there have been high expectations for the Wildcats to go far in the tournament, seemingly every year. But Arizona hasn't reached the Elite Eight since 2015, and it hasn't been to a Final Four since 2001. And now under Tommy Lloyd, Arizona bowed out in a first-round upset last season, and 2 years ago, they lost in the Sweet 16. Now, they're in the same position once again. But Lloyd doesn't see the recent tournament struggles as some insurmountable hurdle. He's just taking it one game at a time.
I don't see a hump. I mean, I'm just a basketball coach at Arizona in my third year. I see opportunity. So, we look at opportunities, as a privilege, and we want to take advantage of them.
But this year's team is different. Transfers Jaden Bradley, Keyshawn Johnson, and Caleb Love all made deep tournament runs at their previous schools. Johnson says he gets asked often about what it takes to go far in the tournament.
We talk about it every day. We know it's going to take everything, faith, luck, just trust, and also discipline, sacrifices, the list goes on and on. Everything comes into play when it comes to March and April.
Pella Larson has experienced the shortcomings firsthand, having been in Tucson since Lloyd took over in 2021. In his eyes, the key for the Wildcats is to stay composed, something they have struggled with throughout the season.
Having possession of the ball is huge in tournaments like these. We only have one game, win or go home, so the poise is going to be a big key. And when we take care of the ball, I don't think there's a lot of teams that can defend what we do on the offensive end.
So just not trying to, take our foot off the, the pedal, to know that every team's got fight in them. It's March, they're trying to win. So just to keep that dog mentality and that, that killer mentality in the second half.
With all the great teams Arizona has had over the years, it's hard to believe it's been 23 years since the Wildcats last reached the Final Four. But first, they got to get past another tough-minded, physical team in Clemson. In Los Angeles, Jonah Krell, Cronkite News.
Odds makers have Arizona as 7-point favorites to beat Clemson, and FanDuel Sportsbook has the Wildcats as the favorite to come out of the West region and into the Final Four.
The Phoenix Suns were on the road last night in the Mile High City to face the defending champion Denver Nuggets. No easy task whatsoever, but Suns all-star forward Kevin Durant had a big night, dropping 30 points and grabbing 13 rebounds at Ball Arena, which led to the 104-97 victory over Nikola Jokic and the Nuggets. Tying the regular season series 2-2, the Suns still sit right on the bubble for the NBA play-in tournament as the 7th-ranked team in the West. NIL, or name, image, and likeness, has changed college sports, Lauren.
Yeah, Jack, not to mention the pocketbooks of the college players. But it's not just the male athletes that are cashing in. After the break, meet some female collegiate players who are also taking part in the NCAA rule.
I'm Athena Kehoe. Over the weekend, we're going to expect to get some rainy conditions, as you could see this Sunday morning primarily. I'll have your full forecast and how this might affect your Easter coming up.
What Cronkite News means to me is opportunity.
We do news right at Cronkite News, serving a community ethically, honestly, and truthfully.
And we can provide a necessarily different angle, different voice for those people that really need it.
The students, they have a lot of passion for journalism.
I get to do a lot of stories about the Hispanic community.
And we have access to cover all of these sorts of events and get media coverage of all these different personalities and athletes, and that's just a huge thing.
But it's also a chance for people here to be humanized. Individuals of all walks of life.
Cronkite News will help take the next generation of journalists onto their next careers.
I am old enough to remember Walter Cronkite.
We're putting a lot of pride on his name because we are practicing a lot of the things that he did.
I think he'd be smiling from ear to ear.
I.
We are Cronkite.
Over the weekend, Arizona State's 125-pound wrestler Richard Figueroa won the national championship in his weight class, marking the first Sun Devil to accomplish this feat since Zahid Valencia in 2019. On his way to winning a title, Figueroa did not allow a single offensive point during either the Pac-12 or NCAA tournament, a feat that very few wrestlers have achieved. While accomplishing a big goal, Figueroa is hungry for more trophies and feels like it hasn't fully sunk in that he won a championship.
Still hasn't hit me yet. I don't think it's still going to hit me after a couple weeks. I feel like that's just me, just because, I used to win big tournaments, being under big spotlights, and, you just got to remain humble. You can't just celebrate all crazy like you just won the Olympics, which I haven't. That's the next goal. And you just got to be patient, stay humble at the end of the day.
NIL has changed the landscape of college athletics as top male athletes in football and basketball make into the millions of dollars.
That's right, Lauren, but players in lesser-known sports are also making money. Cronkite News reporter Eric List has more on how ASU softball players are taking advantage of opportunities to create a name for themselves.
NIL has become such a big part of college athletics that schools like ASU hired full-time managers to oversee opportunities for their student athletes. Rachel Backus streamlines the NIL process for players here at ASU so they can easily get started with their own branded apparel.
And we use the Brand Art Group, and the Brand Art Group allows our students to opt in to their group licensing agreement. And it really is for the student athletes as simple as opting into this link that I provide them.
For softball player Audrey LeClaire, having her own branding not only gives her financial benefits, but it gives her a way to represent herself as an athlete.
I can't judge the big picture just because it's so different case by case. But I think when you ask a female athlete about NIL, they don't really care about getting that big check like when it comes to, certain deals. I think they care more about, like I said, representing us as women in this sport because we deserve the representation.
Still, with the amount of opportunities NIL brings to female athletes, there's a huge potential to make a lot of money, which gives them more flexibility during their playing days and beyond.
Some girls don't even touch NIL, it's just not their thing, and I totally respect that and understand it, but personally, I'm money driven. Like, I really am, and I just love money, I just want to do things with my future, and I don't want to be ever, reliant on someone else to have money.
Now, NIL does a lot of things for athletes. One, it provides them with, of course, a way to make money and be self-sufficient. It also provides them with ways to get their name out there, to promote their brand.
My biggest point of that was this was a thing that my family members, like I said, fans and everything, they really enjoyed, and being able to come to my games and wearing my shirt.
NIL has taken off in a way that not many people anticipated as the movement continues to evolve. In Tempe, Eric List, Cronkite News.
Fans can find merchandise from players like Audrey and others on athletesthread.com, among other sites. But let's go back to opening day as baseball fans around the country cherish the one day of the year their team has a chance of winning it all.
Yeah, Jack, of course, but the Diamondbacks actually have a shot. Arizona fans going to the season opener tonight might see some new changes to the ballpark. Cronkite News reporter Jacob Jones shows us what's new at Chase Field.
The Diamondbacks are back in action tonight for their home opener at Chase Field, bringing exciting changes to the ballpark experience following their thrilling World Series run.
The excitement, the anticipation out there amongst our fan base, we're trying to bring a lot of that energy right here into the in-ballpark experience, the in-game experience, as we always do.
Fans will see and hear a big change this year. A brand new sound system with 54 new loudspeakers and the installation of 482 energy-efficient lights with color-changing capability.
Numerous benefits from this new lighting system. Better visibility, obviously, for the players and for the fans. Reduced energy consumption. It's about 50% compared to the prior lighting structure that we had.
The team shop is loaded with new apparel, plenty of new giveaways, and you can't forget about the food. D-backs executive chef Stephen Tilder and his team are raising the bar on ballpark favorites.
So again, we tried to push the envelope one more time. I think that it ended up at like 42 new concessions items. I mean, my biggest thing is I try and find something that's really cool and then just say, how do we make it baseball?
Diamondbacks legend Luis Gonzalez says the players are ready to get back and reconnect with fans.
It's really going to rejuvenate those guys and excite them. I know they're excited to take the field once again. The last time they were out here playing, it was for a World Series, and now to come back and our fans are going to be out here.
In Phoenix, Jacob Jones, Cronkite News.
Chase Field may have a roof on it, but the weather, Jack, is still a factor.
It absolutely is. It got rain out there the other day, so let's hope that won't happen tonight as the roof will be open again. Let's go to Athena Kehoe in the Weather Center to see what's in the night and the rest of the weekend.
If you are planning to watch the Diamondbacks game tonight outside, the weather's going to look really nice. At 8 o'clock, it's going to be 74 degrees, 9 o'clock, 72, so not too bad of a night. And as for the lows for tomorrow morning, you could expect 59 here in Phoenix, down in Tucson, a low of 54 degrees, up north in Flagstaff, 35, so a lot cooler up there, of course. And the high for tomorrow is going to look really nice here in the valley. 84 degrees is your high for Phoenix. In Yuma, 82 degrees, Tucson, 82, up north, 54 in Flagstaff. And if you have any hiking plans for tomorrow, might be a good time to check out Sedona. The high is 65. However, this warmth is not going to last throughout the entire weekend. On Sunday, as you can see, we are going to get some activity throughout the state. Up north, they're going to see a chance of a mix of snow and ice. Here in the valley, we are going to see some rain and as a cool down of temperatures. As you can see, that high on Sunday is only going to be 62 degrees, and there's a 70% chance of rain. So if you have plans for Easter, if you're going to be outside on an egg hunt, make sure you are dressing appropriately, because that high for tomorrow of 83 will feel very different on Sunday. And if you are going to be outside tomorrow, make sure that you're wearing some sunscreen. If you're outside during the afternoon hours, the UV will get to 7. And as far as the rest of next week goes, Monday, the high is going to be 65 degrees with a 60% chance of rain. Tuesday, hopefully that will all be over with, high of 75. Wednesday, we'll be back to the 80s at 81 degrees. For the Cronkite Weather Center, I'm Athena Kehoe.
Thanks, Athena. Coming up after the break, we have a simple question, but the answer may be pretty hard.
That's right, Lauren. We asked folks if they could tell the time on an analog watch.
Can you tell me what time it is? I'm gonna go 8:30, 7:30.
I couldn't tell you.
After the break, find out why not everyone can tell the time the old-fashioned way and why it's still a useful skill to have.
Find out what's on Arizona PBS at azpbs.org/schedule.
What Cronkite News means to me is opportunity.
We do news right at Cronkite News, serving a community ethically, honestly, and truthfully.
And we can provide a necessarily different angle, different voice for those people that really need it.
The students, they have a lot of passion for journalism.
I get to do a lot of stories about the Hispanic community.
And we have access to cover all of these sorts of events and get media coverage of all these different personalities and athletes, and that's just a huge thing.
But it's also a chance for people here to be humanized, individuals of all walks of life.
Cronkite News will help take the next generation of journalists onto their next careers.
I am old enough to remember Walter Cronkite.
We're putting a lot of pride on his name because we are practicing a lot of the things that he did.
I think he'd be smiling from ear to ear.
I.
We are Cronkite.
At Cronkite News, learn to work behind the camera for studio production. Our students spend time learning the ins and outs of all that it takes to run a newscast. From setting up the studio to building exciting graphics, studio production provides a job for everyone. Whether it be running audio, technical directing, or directing the newscast, students can experience the action behind the scenes. Join our team today.
Welcome back. I'm Asher Heyer with your news across Arizona. If you live in the valley, it's easy to forget that Arizona has amazing spots for fishing and spotting wildlife like birds and otters. Reporter Athena Kehoe went out to Arizona's newest state park, which is the 33rd in the state, and shows how family history plays a big part.
My grandpa bought this 600-acre ranch. They called it the Lawrence Ranch.
The memories of Lawrence Ranch and Camp Verde are constantly running through Brian Lawrence's mind.
This is where they all grew up, my uncles and aunts, my dad and everybody. This was a working cattle ranch.
But as of last month, this land is now Rockin' River Ranch State Park.
It's just me and my cousin are the only two originals that are still here.
Lawrence cherishes his family history based on this land, but he's happy it's now being open to tourists and people who want to experience a part of Arizona's roots.
All the kids would just run up and down the river and swim and play and fish.
Along with fishing, there are 6 trails to choose from, and visitors can expect to see a variety of birds and other wild habitats.
To be able to feel like, you know, what I'm doing every day is making some sort of difference, and I think that difference is amplified when it comes to something new.
As a new state park, Jeremy Gardner is excited to leave his footprint on the land. He's working to put up educational signs around the park for people to learn about the geology.
So moving forward, looking at the fact that now this park is available for people to come through, and it is open. So there's new memories that are going to be built.
Making irreplaceable memories is the goal, so that other people will have memories to share, just like Lawrence, about Rockin' River Ranch in the future.
Verde River down here is like my old friend.
In Camp Verde, Athena Kehoe, Cronkite News.
Currently, the park is only open on the weekends, and it costs $7 per vehicle to enter. Meanwhile, one part of another outdoor location in Arizona is closed, and for the reason for it, it stinks, literally. A picnic area at Arizona's Casa Grande Ruins National Monument has temporarily closed because an invasive winter weed called stinkit is covering the picnic area. It can grow more than 2 feet tall, and its smell can cause serious breathing problems or skin rashes. Monument officials said the Casa Grande Ruins team is working on a solution to get the picnic area reopened as soon as possible, but it could take until May 1st. If you're wondering what time it is, you'll likely check your phone or your digital watch, but what about the old school clock, the one with moving hands? Cronkite News reporter Maria Stobbs explored if reading an analog clock still matters as we move further into a digital era.
If I ask you to tell me what time it is, what would you do?
I think I'll check my watch or ask Siri.
I'd use my phone.
Probably check my phone.
But what about the analog clock?
Adults have cell phones, and there's a digital clock on their cell phone. Many classrooms have digital clocks instead of analog clocks. Not all. We do have some analog clocks here at Lowell.
At Arizona schools, learning how to tell time is still part of the curriculum, but the skill just may not be practiced anymore.
How often do you think you use an analog clock?
Never anymore.
I read it about, I don't know, once a week maybe if I need to.
Without practice, the skill fades.
Can you tell me what time it is? I'm gonna go 8:30, 7:30.
I couldn't tell you.
I don't know. I don't think I can read that anymore.
That's okay. It's actually 10:30.
Oh my goodness. I mean, it's unnecessary to use those things anymore.
As it turns out, reading an analog clock might not be so unnecessary.
Only way that you can ever learn to manage time is you have to be able to see it.
Leslie Josell is the founder of Order Out of Chaos, a coaching firm specializing in time management. According to Leslie Josell, the only way to internalize time is by externalizing it through visual aids like an analog clock.
People think time is invisible. I don't think time is invisible. Time is very three-dimensional. Time has a beginning, middle, and end. Time has a past. A time has a future.
For students who might have trouble getting started on a task, she says seeing an analog clock allows them to visualize when they will be done, which helps them pace themselves.
It allows you to see done. And most of us, when we can't see done, can't begin.
Josell recommends keeping an analog clock in every room because while learning to tell time is one step, seeing it is one of the most effective ways to manage time. In Phoenix, Maria Stobbs, Cronkite News.
Lowell Principal Dana Ramos said schools are also still teaching other traditional things like writing in cursive or writing a letter. That's all for our news headlines today. Sending it back to Lauren and Jack.
Coming up next, if you're looking for a pet, you're in luck.
And this pet could be with you for life. We'll soon see summer temps, which means Sonoran desert tortoises are in need of a cooler home.
Find out what's on Arizona PBS at azpbs.org/schedule.
What Cronkite News means to me is opportunity.
We do news right at Cronkite News, serving a community ethically, honestly, and truthfully.
And we can provide a necessarily different angle, different voice for those people that really need it.
The students, they have a lot of passion for journalism.
I get to do a lot of stories about the Hispanic community.
And we have access to cover all of these sorts of events and get media coverage of all these different personalities and athletes, and that's just a huge thing.
But it's also a chance for people here to be humanized, individuals of all walks of life.
Cronkite News will help take the next generation of journalists onto their next careers.
I am old enough to remember Walter Cronkite.
We're putting a lot of pride on his name because we are practicing a lot of the things that he did.
I think he'd be smiling from ear to ear.
I.
We are Cronkite.
The Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communications Phoenix Sports Bureau provides students with hands-on learning experiences and opportunities in sports journalism. From covering local high schools, colleges, and the pros, students get the opportunity to go live from our Facebook shows covering local, collegiate, and pro sports in the Valley. From digital reporting, broadcast, social media, and producing, there's opportunities for all. For more, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
Jack, the time we get with our pets doesn't last long enough.
That's right, but how would you like to have a pet that could live for 100 years? Arizona Game and Fish has opened applications for tortoise adoptions. Summer is around the corner, and that means hundreds of Sonoran desert tortoises are looking for a cooler home before temperatures rise. The reason there are so many tortoises is because of an abundance of illegal breeding. Arizonans that are interested are encouraged to apply before spring ends.
That's it for Cronkite News. Thank you for joining us.
And to see top Arizona stories anytime, log on to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.